Joining me now is Senator Andy Kim, a Democrat from New Jersey. Is that how you see it? Short-term pain, long-term problem solved?
No, that's not how the American people see this. What they see is that they had no say in this. If the Trump administration wanted American people's support, they should have came and made their case that this is something that's important. They should not be able to make that decision of this short-term pain, which could very well continue to be long-term pain. Because what we're seeing right now is this administration literally just making this up as they go along. You know, you just had Secretary Wright. This is somebody who just a few days ago tweeted that we have already been escorting with our naval fleet ships and cargo through the Strait of Hormuz. And then they deleted that post. And then they decided not to move forward on the strategic petroleum reserves. Now they are. Now Secretary Wright is now saying that maybe by the end of this month, we will be escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz. They're just literally making this up. And that is what's so terrifying. That's why the markets are shaky. And that's why we have to be very concerned about what comes next for America's security and economic security.
We just heard this brand new message on Iran State TV from the new Ayatollah, Mojtaba Khamenei. He warned that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed as a tool of pressure. Trump has said he will send naval warships to escort oil tankers to keep the oil flowing through that strait. Do you support that decision?
I think it's very dangerous. And I worked in the National Security Council before, worked in Afghanistan, on Iraq. I've seen this question posed before other presidents, and it's very dangerous, which is, again, why this should not have happened without approval from Congress, without every resource available to us. Trump thinks that he's in control, but he's not. This is a very dangerous phase. I'm very aware of the capabilities that Iran has. And if we are putting our service members in direct harm's way through the Strait of Hormuz, which is right off the shore of Iran, they are exposed to drones, exposed to missiles and other types of strikes and attack. That is something that I'm very concerned about, given how much this administration has deprioritized the safety of our service members. We saw that in Kuwait, where we saw the lives of 6 service members killed, many more injured, because they were in a facility that didn't have the proper level of security. This administration has rushed this war and has done it without a strategy, and it has left our service members very much in harm's way.
Let me ask you about this message. This is just coming in to us that President Trump just posted to Americans on his Truth Social. He said, the United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far. So when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money. Is that something that resonates with you and your constituents?
That's an insane statement by the President of the United States at a time of war. For him to just be flailing right now, you can see that the White House is clearly in panic right now because this war is not going as they thought it would. They thought it was something where, we would see regime change. They thought, they would get unconditional surrender. These are all the things that President Trump is saying. Every day, it's a different rationale, a different conclusion by him, and that's what's causing this problem. So I can tell you, the American people, the people I talk to, they're thinking about their grocery prices. They're thinking about their housing prices. They're not thinking about how much money American corporations are going to make off of higher oil prices, because that's just going to raise all of our prices at home. And that's where the president is just so detached. He's delusional about what it is that the American people want. I saw that at the State of the Union address. We see that now with him continue to prosecute this war that the American people don't want.
I want to ask you about this bombing of an elementary school that killed dozens of children and many more civilians. Sources to CNN say that the U.S. military used outdated images of an area that it struck in Iran, which led to that deadly strike. You argue that there was something in place that could have prevented something like this happening. What's the argument?
The argument is that a couple years ago, worked alongside my colleagues to pass into law something called the Civilian Protection Center. This is something that's at the Department of Defense, at the Pentagon, something that has personnel who are focused on this effort of ensuring protection of civilians, of reducing the risks that we see unfold here. The problem, though, is Secretary Hegseth decided to gut this office last year, has dramatically reduced down the staff, not implementing the budget that is necessary. Again, this was a bipartisan piece of legislation passed into law that I helped draft. Because of this, I worked at the National Security Council. I've been there for targeting packages for a president to approve. This fault lies directly on President Trump and Secretary Hegseth. They are clearly the ones that gave the orders in terms of how they should go about the risk analysis. And without this type of office, it shows just how much this administration has deprioritized the protection of civilians. And now we find ourselves facing one of the worst losses of life of civilians at the hands of Americans in decades.
And more than a week on, we're still waiting for the full report there to be made public.
There needs to be a thorough investigation.
You're asking for a thorough investigation, as are some of your colleagues. Senator Andy Kim.
Not just of the, yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.